Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurul Balqis binti Mama Saad and my matric number is BBF 201003.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi, my name is Nuraina Natasha binti Muhammad Rauzi and my number matric is DBF 201004.
My name is Nurfarah Shahqyreen binti Hamali and my matric number is DBF 201005.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Rabiatul Adawiyah binti Misian and my matrix number is DBF 201008.
Today, I'm going to present about the Shariah review first. Firstly, what is Shariah review? Shariah review is periodic review of the Islamic bank's operation in compliance with the Shariah rules. It plays a significant role to ensure all activities of Islamic banks are inconsistent with Shariah rules, following fatwa, guidelines and ruling issued by Shariah Supervisory Board. Based on the Shariah Governance Framework 2010, Shariah review function is highlighted as a mechanism suggested for proper governance and practice in monitoring and assurance of Islamic banks' activities. Finally, the Shariah review also refers to the regular assessment on Shariah compliance in the activities and operation of the IP by qualified Shariah officers with the objective of ensuring that the activities and operation carried out by the IP do not contravene with the Shariah. A qualified Shariah officer is an officer who holds at least a bachelor degree in Shariah, which includes study in Usul Fiqh, which is the origin of Islamic law, and the Fiqh Muamalat, which is Islamic transaction or commercial law. Next, what is the function of Shariah review? The Shariah review function is highlighted as a mechanism suggested for proper governance practice in monitoring and assurance of Islamic banks' activities. Indeed, Shariah review function is pertinent to explicate the Shariah governance practice. Firstly, according to Bank Negara Malaysia, Shariah review function that conduct regular assessment on the compliance of operation, business, affairs and activities of the IP with Shariah requirements. Secondly, the Shariah review function must identify, assess and monitor the compliance of the IP's business operation and activities with Shariah. Thirdly, they report to the Board of Shariah Committee and Senior Management regularly on Shariah non-compliance issue and findings. Moreover, the Shariah review function must inform and provide update to the Board of Shariah Committee and Senior Management on the latest development in legal and regulatory requirement in Islamic finance, especially in relation to issuance of the SAC ruling. Next, they must ensure adequate training and guidance are provided to the officers of an IP on relevant Shariah requirement governing the IP operation, business, affairs and activities. The senior officer principally accountability and responsible for the compliance should be responsible for Shariah review, which form part of the IP overall compliance responsibility in assuring sound management of compliance risk. An IP shall ensure that officers who perform on the Shariah review function are qualified to undertake compliance function responsibilities and have sound of understanding of relevant Shariah requirement applicable to Islamic financial business. Lastly, the function of Shariah review also involves the examination and evaluation of the IP level compliance to the Shariah, remediary rectification measure to resolve non-compliance and control mechanisms to avoid recurrences. The scope should cover the IP overall business operation, including end-to-end product development process, which start from product structuring to product offering. Lastly, application of Shariah review in Malaysia. It is noted that there is an absence of Shariah review regulation in the Malaysian context. The IOP had developed standards on Shariah review and internal Shariah review. However, the standard had not been adopted by the regulators in Malaysia, and implementation of such review is currently voluntary. Development of the Sharia review field, guidelines, best practices, and importantly the Sharia reviewer as the main resource of the field has not been addressed to date and require further research and advancement. As you can see in my slide, acknowledging the current lack of development in the Sharia review field, the group had examined the Sharia review practices undertaken by Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad BIMB and Bank Muamalat Malaysia Berhad BMMB. These two banks have their own Sharia department or secretariat whose purpose is to assist Sharia committee of the bank. In Bank Islam, the Sharia Committee is named as the Sharia Supervisory Council (SSC), while in Bank Muamalat is known as the Sharia Committee. Firstly, in Bank Islam, number 1, the SSC was established in compliance with the provision of the Islamic Banking Act 1983. The SSC liaises with the relevant authorities such as the National Sharia Council of Bank Negara Malaysia and Sharia Advisory Council of the Secretaries Commission from time to time on issues relating to the industry. Next, number 2, Bank Islam also has its own internal Sharia Audit section. This section is assigned to undertake internal Sharia Audit or review of the bank transaction and operation. And lastly, number 3, the findings from the Sharia review are reported to the Sharia Supervisory Council through the Sharia Compliance Department and Sharia Department. Next, in Bank Muamalat. Number 1, the Sharia Committee was established and give their report directly to the Board of Directors of the bank, which is the Sharia Committee was established in accordance with the requirements of Islamic Banking Act 1983 and the Bank Article of Association. This committee gives their report directly to the Board of Directors of the bank. Next, number 2. From the interview with the manager of Internal Audit Department of the bank, it is found that before coming Besa, Sukun Mutalib and Gunawa 299 out with the Sharia Committee report, the committee will review the principles and the contract relating to the bank transaction and operation provided by Sharia Review Report. Moreover, the findings from the Sharia Review are reported to the Sharia Supervisory Council through Sharia Compliance Department and the Sharia Department. In addition, in Bank Muamalat also, the Sharia Review is assigned to the Sharia section of the Risk Management Department. Next, number 5. The Sharia review entails in the examination and review of Sharia concept and Islamic structure based on specific guidelines for respective bank's product. And lastly, according to the authors, the bank did not follow any Sharia review standard issued by IOFI. However, the Bank Internal Audit Department assists the Sharia section in undertaking any issue during regular audit.
So next, I will continue the topic by explaining what is the Sharia Audit. So firstly, what is actually a Sharia Audit? Sharia Audit is a guidance of the industry to conduct a proper Sharia audit exercise to examine the IFIs, or we known as Islamic Financial Institutions, compliance with the Sharia in terms of the financial and operational activities, which is also according to the fatwas, rulings, and guidelines that issued by Sharia supervisory boards, accounting standards from an accounting and auditing organizations for Islamic financial institutions, or we know as IFIs, and many more. So the main objective of the Sharia audit is to ensure a sound and make sure have an effective internal control system for Sharia compliance, and also enhance the integrity of the IFIs in terms of the report. They also mainly focus to strengthen the financial aspect and Sharia compliance of an institutions. And next, about the Quranic verses that related to the Sharia audit, which has been stated above, is Surah Al-Inshiqaq verse 6 to 9. In other words, I can say that the majority of the scope of the Sharia audit is actually about being an honesty employee or being an honesty Sharia auditor members about the tasks that have been given, which is also involving many parties, even though the Sharia audit itself is actually an independent party. So next, what are actually the functions of the Sharia audit? Firstly, Sharia audit should be performed by internal auditors who have acquired adequate Sharia-related knowledge and training, and they also may engage the expertise of the IFIS Sharia officers in performing audit, as long as the objectivity of the audit is not compromised. Secondly, we have group Sharia internal auditors who have responsible to serving several financial entities in the group Sharia audit on specialized areas such as management audit and anti-money laundering or AML audit, according to the risk level and materiality of the impact of the Sharia non-compliance. And thirdly, we have a board audit committee, which is only function upon the consultation of the Sharia committee, and they shall determine the deliverables of the Sharia audit function, which is also shall be consistent with the accepted auditing standards. And right now, as you can see, we have 5 internal Sharia auditors, which is first is internal Sharia audit references, second is internal Sharia audit charter, third is Sharia audit plan, fourth is internal Sharia audit manual, and fifth is internal Sharia audit process. So firstly, we have internal Sharia audit references, which is to conduct an efficient and effective auditing. Sharia auditors may refer to the internal Sharia audit references when undertaking their work, which is also include the legislations that relates to the Islamic banking, such as Islamic banking law, Islamic banking regulations, Islamic banking policies, memorandum, and many more. And second, we have an internal Sharia audit charter, which is their job is to specify the task, the responsibility, the purpose, the authority of the Sharia auditors in the form of the formally written and detailed documents that approved by the Sharia committee. And thirdly, we have an internal Sharia audit plan, which can be subdivided from the strategic internal Sharia audit plan to the tactical plan and annual plan, which both of them are designed by the manager of the Sharia supervision departments, with the other departments that are more exposed to the Sharia risk, which is also include the treasury, asset, and credit card departments. And the plan also should be reviewed and may cover 1 to 5 years, but it is also according to the risk that identified in the audit plan. For internal Sharia audit manual, they provide details on the procedures to follow when auditing either the products or the transactions that are endorsed by the Sharia supervisory boards. And last but not least, we have an internal Sharia audit process, which is composed of 5 elements, which is first is preparation, second is planning, third is execution and documentations, fourth is reporting, and fifth is follow-up to develop an appropriate conception frameworks of Sharia audit. As well as we have internal Sharia audits in the Sharia audit function, we also have external Sharia audit, which is there are 4 functions of them, which is firstly is external Sharia auditors should meet the internal Sharia auditors frequently to discuss some matters that related to the Sharia audit. Secondly, the external Sharia auditors need to assess the internal Sharia auditors' works in relation to the internal Sharia auditor scope. Thirdly, the external Sharia auditors need to be familiar with the internal auditing work or activities. Last but not least, the external Sharia auditors need to ensure that the functions of the Sharia audit, which is the internal Sharia audits, is run, planned, and performed efficiently. So there are 5 applications of Sharia audit, which is firstly, I will talk about how Sharia audit can be seen as a process to attest Sharia compliance in IFIS. In IFIS, they must have a very proper audit system to grow for itself by follow the Sharia regulations in all aspects, and therefore IFIS have very great fiduciary duties and responsibilities toward their stakeholders than conventional institutions by following the Sharia compliance in aspects of management and operational activities, and thus the Sharia audit can be seen as a process to attest the Sharia compliance. And secondly, Sharia audit also is actually an independent standalone unit or a leverage model as practiced in Kuwait, Bahrain and Qatar, where the qualified Sharia auditors form part of the internal audit activity. And thirdly, Arman 2013 stated that in Sharia audit, which is internal Sharia audit, could reduce the cost incurred and leakage of the internal information, while the external Sharia could access to a broader range of expertise, and also in addition, they are able to express independent opinions toward the Sharia compliance works. And next, in IPs or in Sharia governance, Sharia audit also can enhance awareness among the employees in performing the operational duties and making decisions in the right directions. For example, the highly competent managers in the IPs should be able to differentiate between the faith-based and also with the profit motive decisions to be made in relation to the business and investments transactions. And last but not least, the practices of Sharia audits is actually extended to the practices of business, policies, procedures, internal control systems, and assessments of the financial resources. For example, financial statement should constitute part of the scope in the Sharia audit, which is the extent of recording, reporting, disclosure, and the internal control in respect of financial activities need to be considered in the assessment of SNC, since it may be not covered by the external auditors in conventional financial statement audit.
For my part, I will be presenting about Sharia research. What is the definition, function, application, differences and hadith related to Sharia research? First, I will begin with the definition. Sharia research means to provide a Sharia advice and consultancy to the Islamic financial institution to ensure that all Islamic banks are accordant with the Sharia. It is also to ensure a proper deliberation of the Sharia-related matters. However, all of the interviewers are of opinion that Sharia research function is an important function in assisting the community in seeking relevant information for them to debate and deliberate the Sharia issue before they come up with the relevant resolution. Next is the function of Sharia research. Apart from the institutionalizing a robust Sharia compliant function, there should be an internal unit comprising a qualified Sharia officer to conduct pre-product approval process, research, vetting of issue for submission, and undertake administrative and secretarial matters related to the Sharia committee. Besides that, it also to conduct of performing in-depth research and studies on the Sharia issues, including providing day-to-day Sharia advice and consultancy to the relevant parties, including those involved in the product development process. The function should be performed by the qualified Sharia officer, and the scope of work should be prominently cover the aspect of the Sharia. However, the function also required expert on legal operation and other related aspect or issue to form part of the presentation to the Sharia committee. For example, a true research may needed to review new product and business development. In terms of the advisory and consultancy rules, the function should assist and provide advice to the relevant parties based on the decision of the Sharia committee. For example, advice may be offered on the list of permissible investment, such as selection of permissible share or the stock in the Bursa Malaysia stock market. And next is the application of the Sharia research. Internal Sharia Research Academy for the Islamic Finance (ISRA) was established in 2008 by the Central Bank of Malaysia as an Islamic finance and Sharia-related research institution. ISRA is recognized globally as a leading global premier research academic in Islamic finance industry with numerous accolades. And ICD Thomson Reynolds studies in 2014 cited that an estimated 6.2% of the global Islamic finance research was contributed by ISRA. Contributed by the ISRA include over 200 Sharia research publications that include textbook, journal and research papers that are contractually referred internationally, and its IFIR portal, which is gaining popularity on its one-stop online Sharia knowledge repository for the Islamic finance. Furthermore, the Sharia advice and consultancy, including the product development processes based on the decision of the Sharia Advisory Council and the Sharia Committee. The Sharia Committee is expected to perform an oversight role on the Sharia method related to the institutions in business operation and activities.
Now I'm gonna talk about the differences between Sharia review, Sharia research, and Sharia audit. The role of Sharia audit is to assurance and internal control post-event. And for the role of Sharia review is compliance and post-event. Okay. The last one, the role of Sharia research is they're responsible to undertake administrative duties relating to the Sharia committee. Now we move to the scope and differences of their scope and duties of Sharia review, Sharia research, and Sharia audit. Okay. Scope and duties of Sharia audit is much wider. It covers overall processes for micro and macro and covers whole transactions and entities. For the Sharia review, scope and duties is much narrow, focuses on micro aspect only and limited to Sharia compliance function. Last but not least, Sharia research scope and duties is to provide Sharia advice and consultancy, including product development processes based on the decisions of Sharia Advisory Council and Sharia Committee. I'm gonna talk about the issue and challenges faced by the Sharia review, Sharia research, and Sharia audit. For the Sharia research, challenge in meeting the needs of Sharia research is to understand the reality of the reality, that is to form a strong basis for the legal determination. As the result of the widespread discipline, scholars have to give a deep specialization to eventually lead to the scope of their science individually. One of the main obstacles in the lack of expertise to perform the Sharia review. For the example, lacks of the experience needed to perform review, collect documents and evidence, and also development of working papers and review checklists. Challenges faced by the Sharia audit is the internal auditors must carry out Sharia auditing with regard to well-versed in Sharia knowledge and full knowledge related to Islamic finance products and businesses. Thus, Sharia auditors are expected to fulfill the requirements and needs of Islamic society who's searching for ethical and compliance products and services in the industry.